Thank you to Mrs. Johnson and the Helene Taylor School ORF music program for our background music.
Santa needs a space to wash his clothes, and the elves' clothes too. This little room has everything you need. A Finley stove refurbished by Ron Lockram, a Ringer washer donated by the Beckers, and of course an old-fashioned scrub board and a wooden bucket. Everything ready for Santa. And did you see the blue sock stretchers hanging above the stove? Last year we didn't see any little foxes, but we know someone was living in the dirt pile. Other than eating our Christmas lights, we seem to be getting along fine.
The sheep shed on your right is kind of a new addition. It got moved to this spot last year and is now resting on a new floor. But as you can see, the walls need a bit of work. The matching outdoor toilets behind the schoolhouse and beside the Fox house on your left. These two toilets came with the schoolhouse. We assume one was for boys and one was for girls, but we are not sure which is which. Betty's Dray Barn. The barn was an original building in the new town of Wembley in 1927. It was donated to us by Betty Watham in 2018. A dray barn was where the freight hauling horses were kept. Inside the barn is a sleigh donated by the Schoendorfer family and two Democrat buggies on loan to us from Brian Spofford and Cheryl Jackson. At the blacksmith shop, you're going to want to stop and put it in park. There's a good story. It's about 3 minutes long. Hosker's Blacksmith Shop. The blacksmith shop was on the same property as the house and was moved to the site in 2016. It was originally built as Hosker's Blacksmith Shop and was later used on the sawmill site of the South Wapiti Lumber Company, which coincidentally was the property on the other side of the tracks from our property. Inside, peeking out from the doors, is a 1950 Studebaker Champion Skyway. Also is an upright piano donated by the Barb and Gordon Peebles family that must have been jangling out some tunes in the 1950s. In the words of Brian Spofford, the Studebaker was purchased by my grandfather, Samuel Spofford, brand new in 1950 in Fairview, Alberta. My grandfather drove this car everywhere. He and Grandma vacationed all over Canada, so this car was probably in most of the provinces. Studebaker started building wagons and buggies and transitioned into automobiles. Studebaker was bought by Dodge Brothers, and this car was built by Dodge for Studebaker. It's a 1950 Studebaker Champion. When these cars were built, they were sold for a price of $1,500 for models like this one and $2,200 for the convertible model with a V8 motor. They were famous for their jet engine front end. They also were very advanced for the time. This car has a standard 3-speed transmission with an overdrive. They have dash lights, of course, but all the markings inside the gauges were radium, so they glow in the dark. This car has been in our family its entire life. I last licensed the car in 1971. I don't remember what I paid for insurance back then, but I'm sure it was minimal. We still drive the car around the farm today. Someday, it would be great to restore it. I'll probably be passing the car on to my son. I was quite young, but I remember Grandpa coming to visit us, and we would take the car picking berries. As I got older, I would ask Grandpa if I could have the car. He would say, "I'll think about it." The orchard. The orchard is to the east between the fence and the blacksmith shop. It currently has 4 apple trees and 2 cherry trees. The haskellps and raspberries will need to be relocated from the house garden to the orchard. The future event facility. This building was moved to the site last fall, and just a few weeks ago was moved to its forever home. It was the Lapon Winery and Tasting Room overlooking Lake Saskatoon. It was purchased from John and Linnell Viken in 2020. In the corner of the fences, as you are turning, is our grader. It was owned by Nora and Robert Kopp and was moved to the site in 2017. It was contracted to the County of Grande Prairie No. 1 for road maintenance. On your left-hand side, as you're now facing west, is St. Albans Anglican Church. The church was built in Sexsmith by Mr. Jack Leonard and the local community in 1936 from a gift from Mrs. Showers of London, England. Mr. Leonard also built the pews. In September 1946, it was moved to the town of Wembley across from the corner grocery. It remained there for many years but was sold and moved to a farm on the Hutterite Road. It was purchased at an auction sale by the Society and moved back to this site in 2015. Also on the left-hand side is our schoolhouse. We believe the school came from the Hart Valley area, but have no real confirmation. It was moved to the site in 2015 from the same place the church was located after being purchased at the same auction sale. Our airport character house. The RCAF had built the Grande Prairie Airport during World War II and began construction of 4 airway personnel residences on August 14, 1941. 3 married residences, 1 being ours, and 1 single residence for a total project investment of $50,000. On December 17, 1950, RCAF withdrew from Grande Prairie and was turned over to the Department of Transport. Gudrun Sebastian indicated that her uncle and several other men were brought over from Norway to do carpentry on the residences. His name was George Davidson, and he was working on the houses for 5 years. One of the unique features of these homes is the lack of eaves, which may be characteristic of Norwegian building. It was moved from the airport to Wembley in 1968 by Henry and Margaret Anderson, in whose hands it remained until 1997. This building was donated to our society by Brad Jones and moved to our site in 2014. It's also important to note that in 1946, Henry Anderson, with 2 of his brothers, George and Albert, bought the South Wapiti Lumber Company from Thomas Radford, which was 10 acres, situated where the gas station is now located. We thank you for your interest in this project, and if you have more information on any of the buildings, we would be happy to hear from you. Also, if you have any pictures of early Wembley and the people, we would like to make copies if possible. We always welcome new members. Donations are also always welcome, whether cash or e-transfer, to wembleyadachs@gmail.com, or the most valuable donation, time. We are extremely grateful to our current sponsors, the Wembley Snowmobile Club for sponsoring the house, Pipeline Hot Plugs and RT Rentals for donating the light plants, Wembley Corner Grocery for sponsoring hot chocolate for K-6 students, Pipestone Energy for sponsoring the orchard, Hills Vac for sponsoring the church, Hildebrand Bison Company for sponsoring the blacksmith shop. Your generosity and community spirit are appreciated. If you would like to be a Lighting the Past sponsor of one of the buildings or the school program, please contact Colleen at 780-933-1186 or Sharon at 780-605-2476 for details. We hope that you have enjoyed your drive through Lighting the Past. I would like to introduce the next section of musical accompaniment. The piece is the Helen E. Taylor School Junior High entry in the CBC's 2023 Canadian Music Class Challenge. Thank you to Rhonda Johnson and her students.
1, 2, ready, go!